Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic, and Scott Strossal is today's constructor. Scott was very unlucky yesterday. The day before yesterday, he sent us a puzzle called Flux Capacitor, based on the Flux Capacitor from Back to the Future, whose release date was 40 years ago yesterday. And what did he find? That John Cholfie had already sent us a puzzle called Flux Capacitor based on the Flux Capacitor from Back to the Future for the same day. That's unlucky, but I'm going to have a go. I'm going to go back to yesterday's future. What did I put on the thumbnail? Forward to the past yesterday. Well, today I'm going back to the future and trying the same theme in a very different puzzle. And I will go through, it's basically a between lines puzzle. I'll explain the rules and indeed the twisted lines. The rule, said Scott, is between lines with a twist, pun intended. So we're going to have a go at this today and see how this one plays, and maybe compared with yesterday's. But looking forward to that. Now, don't forget, on Patreon at the moment, we've got our new reward out. It is regeneration. You have to break up the flat worms into separate living worms, and recompute the puzzles once you've done so. So it's an interesting challenge, 6 different rule sets, and loads of people. I mean, I did see some people saying there were some extremely difficult puzzles on Patreon chat, on Discord. But on the other hand, we have had hundreds of correct entries in already, and that is a much faster rate than either of the last 2 months. So well done those people who have got through the puzzles very quickly. You've done remarkably well. And quite a lot of compliments coming in as well about the puzzles, so that's good news. Do give it a try. It's on Patreon. There's also connections videos and crossword videos there. We've also, of course, got all of our apps which do feature Line Sudoku and Killer Sudoku, but also Fog of War Sudoku, the latest big one, and The Worms by Marty Sears and James Sinclair, which are fabulous. Do have a look at those. Very, very reasonable pricing. And we've also got SVEN'S SUDOKU PAD linked in the description field, along with this puzzle by Scott Strossal, friend of the channel, long-time contributor. I mean, goes back 6 years, Scott's contributions. And let's have a look at the rules of this particular puzzle. Normal Sudoku rules apply. 1 to 9 in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. In a cage, digits cannot repeat and sum to the number indicated, so those 3 will add to 17. These 3 also do and will all be different. And then between lines, there are circles in the grid connected by lines. The digits on the lines must be strictly in between the digits filled in the circles, excluding the digits in the circles. So those 2 digits must be outside whatever 3 digits these are. These 3 digits must come in between that one and that one. So one of these 2 circles will be higher than all of those 3 and one will be lower. Now, it specifies that for the red and blue between lines, all circles connect across to both ends on the opposite side. For example, row 4, column 3 connects both to that circle through those cells and to that circle through those cells. This is the twist in the rules. There's a literal twist in the lines. And that is how Scott has created his Flux Capacitor. I don't know whether there are any other nods. Oh yes, 85 is obviously the year the film was launched. There you go. There is, of course, another date associated with Back to the Future, which is the date that they go back to, which is, I don't know, 26th October 1955. I could be wrong. Anyway, let's have a look at this puzzle. Give it a try on that first link under the video. I'm going to start now. Let's get cracking. Okay, we've got an 8 cage. That is going to have lowish digits in. This is my claim. All of the digits in this cage, it's annoying because I was going to say they're all going to be on the low end of the scale. This is either made up of 134 or 125, this cage. If it's 1, 2, 5, okay, well, given where the 5 is, these digits must be from 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think they have to be both low in terms of the lines that they're connecting to, because they both go through 3 digits. And if this was the high end, let's say it was a 4, you could put 3, 2, 1 there, but you'd have nothing left to put in the circles. So these are at the low ends, and then these are at the higher end. So these are at least 2, 3, 4. These digits, well, these are 2 different low digits. I think because those connect to these, I was about to just generically make the assumption that if this one is low, that's also low. Is that fair? Yes, it is. Because that connects to this and also to that. So these are both on the high end. Let's assume they were 2, 3, 4, the absolute minimum. These are at least 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And if those were 2, 3, 4, that's also on the low end. If these were, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, these would be 8 and 9. And this would have to be lower. So this is on the low end. Could it be 6? No, because they would be 7, 8, 9. It can't be 5. So again, that is from 1, 2, 3, or 4. I wanted to say that this, I think it's okay to say this can't be a 5 as well. No. What is okay is to say this can't be on the high end. It could still be a 5. No, it couldn't. Right, I'm going to explain why this can't be a 5 now. First of all, I'm going to explain why it's not high end. Because it would have to be at least a 5. That would have 4, 3, 2, but both of those circles would have to be 1, and that would break the rules. And the same would be true if this was a 5 and low end. That would be 6, 7, 8, and these would both have to be 9. That's no good. So this is not a 5, therefore it's from 1, 2, 3, 4, and therefore 2 does not appear in this cage. It's a 1, 3, 4 cage. And it's low end. So these are high end, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Again, I think just like down here. This is low end. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, am I having any difficulty making up the 17 here with a low digit? These two have to add to at least 13 between them. So 4 is the absolute minimum. And they can't be 13. Because that would be a 4. Well, sorry, they can be 13, but this can never be a 4, because that would also have to be a 4 and that a 9. So this digit is high as well, 6, 7, 8, or 9. But this one, not necessarily. I think the same might work here. This is high on its line. Actually, I hadn't thought about the grey line. Yeah, that's going to matter. So these digits are at least, well, they're not 2, 3, 4, because that would force both of those to be a 1. So one of them is at least a 6. And this digit is higher than all of these 3. So this is 7 or 9. It can't be 8 by Sudoku. Now, that is 7 or 9. These are lower, and that is lower still. How low can it go? I don't want to rule out 5. Because that could be 6, 7, 8. That could be 6, 7, 8. We could have 9s in these corners. I'm going to allow 5, but also 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I don't think that 16 cage is telling me anything. Now, this is getting interesting. 17 here, and that's at least a 7. So these either add up to 10 or 8 between them. Is that useful? No, maybe it's not. Okay, these digits can't include 1 or 9. You can never put 1 or 9 on a between line. I don't know how to find the capacity within this flux capacitor, particularly at the moment. Oh, okay, one of these digits in the 8 cage is going to be a 4. Now, if that featured here, that would be 5, 6, 7, and that would be 9. This would be 6, 7, 8, and that would be 9. 4 there would force both of these to be 9. 4 here would make these 5, 6, 7, and these high ends both 8 and 9. 4 here would make these 5, 6, 7, and both of these high ends 8 and 9. So 4 is somewhere in this cage, and it's forcing either an 8-9 pair there, an 8-9 pair there, or a pair of 9s in those positions. That is confusing. Okay, let's think about the possibility of both of these being 9s, if that was the 4. These would both be 9s, and then these circles could never be more than an 8-7 pair in both cases. So let's assume they were that maximum an 8-7 pair. These digits would all have to be lower than 7. They can't be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because one of them would be a 2, and that would require 2 1s either in the 2 red circles there or the 2 blue circles there. So that is not, it is not possible for these to be a pair of 9s. Therefore, it's not possible for this to be 4. So in one case, one of these is a 4, and that's either making an 8-9 pair here for definite, or an 8-9 pair here. Obviously, they both could be. But it's interesting. That is... if that was an 8-9 pair and this was a 7, these would be 7 and 9 or 7 and 8, and that would be 1 or 2 to make the total up to 17. This would be, oh look, these are not both going to be from 8-9. That's quite interesting. Right, if they were both from 8-9, the total in this cage would add up to at least 18. That's not going to happen. So, I don't think they can even be a 9-7 pair. But they could be 8 and 7. So what's happening to these? One of these is no more than 7. The lower one of these two is no more than 7. And on its capacitor string, we're going to have at least, well, at most 6, 5, 4. I can't quite get my noggin around what is going on there. Haven't thought about this 17 cage in the box where 8 and 5 have gone. Does it have to have a 9 in? 7, 6, 4? No, it doesn't. No, I don't know. I think it's either 764, 962 or 971, but that doesn't really help. So I'm going to have to keep working on these blooming capacitor issues. I feel that's going to be very low, because if you dragged these down, if you made one of these a 6 instead of a 7, what happens on its blue or red line? That becomes 5, 4, 3, definitely. So that you can accommodate 2 and 1 in those positions. Am I missing something very obvious, like adding up the 17 and the 16 cage to be 33? Not sure. Don't really see how that works. These have to be between 2 and 7. Okay, I've just had the realization that 2 can never appear on any of these lines, or 8. And that kind of arises from, I think earlier I speculated that 2 was on one of them, but it would mean that they couldn't both be low. And that's true for both lines. So the same is true for 8 and the high ends. If you put 8 or 2 on these lines, the high ends wouldn't work. You couldn't put 2 higher digits than 8. So this group of cells is a 1, 2, 8, 9 set. What we have on the twined strings are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's probably not actually going to do anything for me, but it's been available for ages, from the start basically, and I hadn't noticed it. How do we get a little bit of traction? I haven't got a digit in the grid. We're 11 minutes in. Right, if one of these digits was a 4, that would have to be 5, 6, 7. Now, that would mean that the 3 was in this group, and that would be a 1, 2 pair. So if one of those was a 4, that would be a 3. That's quite interesting, because exactly the same consideration is going to work here. If one of those was a 4, that's 5, 6, 7. 3's in that group, and this has to be a 1, 2 pair. So one of these 2 digits is a 2, and one of these 2 digits is a 1, because no, this was all founded on, do we have a 4 in one of the circles? And that's not necessarily known, but okay, let's say that this was a 1. That's the case I think I might be able to disprove. So these would be at least 2, 3, as would, well, we have to have a 4. We do have to have a 4 in one of these circles. Okay, so this conclusion was okay. So one of those circles is a 4, because this cage needs one. Either red or blue does have 5, 6, 7 on it, and therefore the other of red or blue definitely has a 3 on it. And in that case, the 2 circles are 1 and 2, and they're definitely looking at this cell, and this becomes a 3, and they're my first digit in the puzzle. It's so confusing. Right. So in one of these cases, we have a 1, 2 pair, and 3 can go on its twined thing. And in the other case, we're going to get a 4 in one of these cells, and 5, 6, 7 has to go on the twined thing, and that's going to cause 8, 9 as a pair, either there or there. And that doesn't really get me any more info. What do I know about this? This can still be 7, 6, 4. I don't think 3 was ever an option to go in the 17 cage. Oh, these are bigger than 3 now. So they're selected from 4, 5, 6, 7. And this is then 7, 8 or 9 at least. I mean, if that was 4, 5, 6, this goes up to at least 7. On this line, these are at least 4, 6, 7 now, minimum. And that becomes a 9. Right, these are from 4, 6, 7, 8. So what do we get? We get a 9 there. I wish my gas company wouldn't continually ask me for a reading. Right, now, on one of these, we were going to get a 4 in one case and have 5, 6, 7 on the twined things, and therefore 8, 9 in the circles. Well, that's not going to happen in red. So the 5, 6, 7 is in blue because the 4 is in a blue circle now. And that becomes a 1. That doesn't. And now we've got 5, 6, 7 there. These digits include 3 and 4, and that's a 2. And with 5, 6, 7 there, this pair is an 8, 9 pair, and that digit becomes a 7 by elimination. And now we can add up this cage. 9 plus 8 is 17. That's the 9. In this cage, these two add up to 7. Which feels like a very low number. This can't be 8 or 7, it's 6 or 5. And these digits have to be below So let's compare those two. This has to be a 6 with a 5 in the center of the puzzle. Yes, yes. In fact, this digit becomes a 7 because it sees them both. Now, in this cage, we've got 15 there. That's a 1. In this cage, we've got to be more than 3, 4, and 5, and we can't be 6. These two have to add up to 8. So they're a 7 and a 1. And all the blue and red, the flux capacitor circles are all done. So now we just have to, right, these, we have to look at the grey lines. These can't have a 7 on anymore. They're 4, 5, 6. These ones are from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These ones are anything they like except for 1, 9, 6, and 7. So actually they are a little restricted. Oh no, up the middle, 3, 4, 5 are looking at that cell. That's a 6, and then looking back down at that cell. That 6 gives us a 4 and 5 to either side. We need a 7 in the central column. There's only one place for it. That still hasn't ruled out 7, 6, 4 from this cage. But in this cage, we've got a number of given digits and one pair. Everything else is 3, 8, or 9. This one sees a 3, 4 pair, so that's 8 or 9. These are from 3, 8, or 9. 1, 6, 7, 9. It's a lovely, lovely structure of a puzzle. I mean, exactly as you'd expect. Oh look, we've got 1s looking into the center, so we know where the 1 is in the central box. Then those can't be 9s, so we can place 9. That can't be a 2, so it's an 8, and that's a 2. This can't be 9, that can't be 8. This digit must have been constrained a bit. Well, it can't be 2. Is that it? Let's have a look at these, actually. 3, 4, oh no, let's have a look at this one. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 9. That's 2 or 8, forming a pair with that one. And that's going to finish off the column. Oh, I should have been looking for where to put 1 in the column. Didn't think of it like that. Paid the price. 9 in this box is there. This is 3, 4, or 5. 8 in this column is there. This has become a 3. That's not a 3. Okay, central row. 5 and 7 and 6 can't be in that cell. Nor can 4. That's an 8. In fact, 4 can't be in these. They're a 6, 7 pair now. 4, 6, 7, 8, 1. 9 in the box has to be there. That is a naked 2. And then this is a 3, 5 pair. Now, this central column has got 9, 8, 2, 6, 5, 7 in it. Everything else is 1, 4, or 3. And we get the 1. These can't have a 3 or a 4 in. That one can't be a 2 either. 1, 3, 4, 8, 9. Oh, that's not quite so helpful. We've got these cages in the corners still to resolve. There's a 1 in one of those cells. Ooh, there's a 9 in one of those two. 7, 8, 9, 1. 1, 3, 4, 8. 9, 7 is in one of those two cells. That means this cage doesn't have a 7 in. I'd much rather know that about this cage. Ooh, this, I already knew this didn't have a 3 in. Let's just think about this then. A 3-cell cage adding up to 15. Could be 4, 5, 6. Doesn't have a 7 in. It doesn't have an 8 in either, because we've got those 2 8s and an 8 in one of those cells. So it's either 4, 5, 6 or it's got a 9 in which case it would be 1, 5, 9 or 2, 4, 9. Oh, it can't be 4, 5, 6 because that digit sees all of those. So it does have a 9 in. And either 1, 5 or 4, 2. It's not quite enough for me to do it. This row, this digit is 4 or 6. Right, that is going to stop this cage containing 4, 6, 7. And that was the only possibility that didn't have a 9 in. So this cage has a 9 in, and that's great, because with what I did in box 1, I can now place 9 there. And this pair, oh, it's still either 1, 5 or 2, 4. This pair adds up to 8 and doesn't have 3 or 5. I knew that already. Okay, let's keep doing 9s. There's the last 9 in the puzzle. They're all done. Okay, this is 1, 5 or 2, 4. I don't know how to use it. Okay, this cage doesn't have a 9 in. So it adds up to 19. It's either 8, 7, 4. The 7 would have to be in this cell. Or it's 8, 5, 6. Ah, I'll tell you why it's not 8, 5, 6. Because look, 7s are looking at all of those cells. They're forcing a 7 into this cage, but there's a 7 in one of those. So the 7 is here. These two add up to 12. And they don't use 7 or 9. So that's an 8, 4 pair. That fixes 8 in row 3. 8, 4, 7, 9, 1. There's a 6 in one of those two. There can't be a 6 in this cage, so the 6 in box 1 is there. This is now a 4. Now, this pair, oh, they still add up to 8, and I still don't know much about that. Right, this pair is either 1, 5 or 2, 4, but we've got 1 and 4 looking up the first column, so that's 1 or 4, that's 2 or 5. This cage cannot have a 1 in because the other two digits would be a 9, 7 pair, and neither of those can appear here. So the 1 is there. The last one in the puzzle, no, it's not, but it's nearly the last one in the puzzle, and it's going to have to go into this cage, which is very useful because then we can calculate the other digit as a 7 up here. So that's a 1 in the corner. That's a 7. That 1 sorts out this pair as a 4, 2 pair. 2, 9, 6, 1, 4, 8. This is 3 or 5. 3 can't be in those cells because of the 3, 4 pair, so that's a 3. This is a 5, 7 pair. So that's a 6 and that's a 2. Oh, that 4 has sorted out the 3, 4 over here. We've got a 5 and a 1 and a 3 and a 5 and a 6 and a 2. And looking down this column, still got one cage to do. 2, 6, 8 down here, but the 6 is in the 17 cage, either with an 8, which would make this a 3, or with a 2, which would make this a 9, and is not possible. So it's 3, 6, 8. That's a 2. This row is resolved. 4 there. I've got a 5, 7 pair here. They're resolved. That's not a 5 or a 3. That's a 4. That sorts out this box. 4, 8, 6 and 2 is the other digit, not pencil marked. 6 and 8. Now I can do 4 and 5 and then just do rows 4 and 6 to get us back to the future. Let's look at that. 4. Oh, that's been available for literally ever. Didn't notice it. Thank you for shouting about it, Marty. And this 7 completes the Flux Capacitor. There we go. Fabulous puzzle by Scott. Thank you so much for sending us that. Sorry it didn't get done on the channel yesterday, but there's always the next day, and we'll be back with something else the next day, and probably not Back to the Future based anymore. So looking forward to that. Have yourselves a great day in whatever the future brings to you. And thanks very much. Bye for now.